I start spouting off about nonsense, I'd like you guys to actually be able to hear it and see it. And so far, I'm not sure that you can. What is happening? I'd like you guys to actually be able to hear it. Okay. I think, alright, I don't know what was going on there. That was really weird. That hasn't really happened before. It wasn't coming on at first at all. I couldn't see any kind of feed for you guys. And then all of a sudden, I got a black screen on it saying feed was question is going to be read, is what I will promise you. Just a quick update on the channel. I'm going to be tweaking it a bit. No, the feed is dying again. Okay, sorry. I'm seeing it dying, but whatever. So I'm going to be doing those. It just takes time to do them, and I want to tweak it a little bit to take into account some other people's suggestions. Now, what else? I was sick this past day. I'm still kind of sort of sick. That's why I didn't do any reviews last night. I had really horrendous, which is a good show. Great show. I really recommend it. I thought the ending, the last episode, well, supposedly there's going to be another season, but the final episode of the first season, episode 10, a little weak for me. I'm not going to give any spoilers because I do think you should go and watch it, but I just felt like there's the two main characters' threads were not believable in that episode, especially the side character who really, I don't buy what. Have you had the chance to play Besiege yet? If so, did you like it? No. Is that started going out to Kickstarter backers? The thing about that was that I didn't technically back it. I backed it for $1, but I ended up buying someone else's pledge. So I have to wait for them to get it and then for them to ship it to me. Thankfully, they're in the U.S. That's the same thing that happened with Black Plague. But I'm really excited for it. It looks really good. We know the gaming hobby is expanding. Any ideas why now? In your opinion, which factors led to its growth, especially during an economic slump for the last 10 years? Well, that is, I think you partially answered your own question there. It has seemed like in the past, and when I say the past, I mean like since board gaming as we know it has been invented, like, I don't know, what was it? When Monopoly was invented, I guess. Of course, there were games before that, but that was when the idea of families getting together to play games was really popularized. And whenever there has been like times where people were in crisis or where things were just bad, especially up north when there's blizzards, as there are now, people look for activities to do at home. And I think that in the context of an economic slump, it's really expensive to go out and do a lot of things, right? You think about going to the movies for 2 hours potentially of enjoyment. For one person even, assuming you don't buy any other snacks, it's like $12 to $15. When you start talking about a family of 4, like the nuclear family or whatever, now you're looking at like at least like maybe $60 just to get you all into seats, and then for food and all these different things. And if you go out to dinner along with that, all of this stuff is really, really expensive. Board gaming, on the other hand, yes, a game might be $50-$60, but you get that an unlimited amount of times, unless it's a legacy game. Cue the haters. But, excuse me, I'm sick. But also, small card games like Love Letter. I mean, really, really cheap. So, it is if you do it right, if you're not a maniac, obsessive-compulsive, not obsessive-compulsive, but like just addicted to board games like I am, you can do it on the cheap, and it's a lot of fun for a small investment. So that's a huge reason, I think, why it has grown to prominence, and that's a great point, actually, bringing that up. There's other reasons, though, too. I think it's a natural snapback against the digital revolution. Now, I'm not a Luddite, and I love video games. I just don't have the time to play them anymore, and video games and social media and online games and all of these different things. There's a bevy of options you have in that arena, and I think that at a certain point, though, there's a natural pushback against that, because people start to feel more disconnected from other people. And so there's always like a course correction in things like this. And I think the rise of board games again is, or maybe for the first time, depending how you look at it, is more of a course correction. Just like, hey, I want to interact with people and actually have tactile things to move around. So I think there's a lot of factors in that. It's also true that you could definitely say that there's more talent involved in the field. People who were influenced by video games and other forms of media now taking those kernels of knowledge and applying it back towards board games. I think all of this together is really leading to a golden age of board games. And I've been criticized for saying that before, but I will always say that just because your favorite game or a few of your favorite games came out 20 years ago does not make that the golden age of board gaming. I don't care when Settlers of Catan came out. I don't care when Ticket to Ride came out. This time period now, the accessibility and overall quality on average of board games is better than it ever has been before. That's my definition of a golden age. What is your favorite? I'm just scrolling down a second before I read any more just to make sure the feed is okay. Some people are complaining, but that might just be them. Okay, good. Good. What is your favorite and least favorite Cosmic Encounter alien? Oh, man. There's so many. My least favorite is the... Okay, for me personally, I don't like the Gambler, but other people love the Gambler. I don't like... Now, I know part of the purpose of Cosmic Encounter is that if there's an overwhelmingly powerful... There's no balance between the aliens. So if there's an overwhelmingly powerful alien, the point is nobody allies with it, everyone gangs up against it, and so on and so forth. But there's some that are incredibly powerful. I'm not saying the Gambler is that way, but like the Virus, and there's the weird one that can win, the Ace. But... So those I'm not a big fan of. I like more their just general purpose usage. I like the Healer. I always thought the Healer was very fun because everyone's very unassuming. I've won at least a couple of times with the Healer. Back when I only had like the core game, I think he's in the core game, right? We used to draw the same aliens more often because we played the game a lot. And I always thought like, oh, hey, I'm harmless. You know, I'll help you out. Yeah, heal one of your ships. Get on people's good sides. And it's easy to win that way. So I always thought the very simple ones like that were fun. And I like the aliens from a couple of the later expansions, like the Dominion, Cosmic Dominion, I think it is. Excuse me. Where there is the one that's like the cruise ship that goes around. Was it Love? The one that looks like a giant cat. That's a lot of fun. Other ones that I hate, I don't know. There's not a lot that I really hate. There's ones that I just think are annoying to use. Sometimes I just don't want to do too much work in Cosmic Encounter, and like ones like the is it the spider, the one that sets little traps all over the place, is a little too aggravating for me to use personally, but that's just me. So I would never, if I get my two aliens, I would never choose that one. Have you gotten a chance to play Dale of Merchants? Is that a real game? I've never even heard of it. If it's a Euro game, then the answer is usually no. It's new. Okay. I like the cover a lot. Excuse me. I'm very verklempt. Let me see what the game itself looks like. This is fascinating to people watching me look up something on the internet. Yeah, it looks really cool. The artwork and design. I'd be curious to try it. Any thoughts on the new 2016 Portal Games announcement? First Martians, Cry Havoc, First State Master Set. Looks really cool. I like the idea of First Martians, where it's basically Robinson Crusoe, but on Mars, which is an actual thing, by the way. Cry Havoc, I don't know enough about, but it seems interesting. Anything from Portal immediately has my interest because I think they do very, very, very good games. Imperial Settlers and Robinson Crusoe being the the ones that I like the most. Although I'll be playing Legacy in its expansion for the first time this weekend. Hopefully. 51st State, I played the New Era a long time ago, which is like a spin-off standalone game that can be combined with the original. And I wasn't too impressed with it, but it was very late. It was very complicated. It was very new to board games, so I'd like to give it another shot. And hopefully a revamped version, taking into account what they learned from Imperial Settlers, could be great. If you should make a top 5 toughest Elder Gods in Eldritch Horror, who would you pick and why? The toughest? Yeah, let's see. Definitely the Pharaoh. Necron Ka or something from Ephron Ka from Under the Pyramids. Pretty difficult. I feel like what's from the original, the first big box set, is it Ithaqua was pretty difficult to seem like to me compared to the City of the Ancient Things. In the base game, there's only 4 in the base game. Cthulhu is very difficult. Azathoth is the easiest one. Who are the other 2 that are in that set? The Black Goat and, well, yeah, I don't know. I think that they're all very difficult in their own ways. I think Cthulhu and Nephron Ka are 2 of the most difficult. Although we did fight Cthulhu, meaning that he awoke and was walking the earth, and we had a guy in our party who was like just fucking full up with gear and like a magic artifact sword, and just trudged right into his space and beat him. It was a pretty amazing end to that game. We all thought we were dead at several points. Nick, what are your top 10 numbers? I have a legit answer for this. Okay, my number 1... let's work our way from... Let me do your top 5 numbers. From 5 to 1. My number 5 is 3. My number 4 is 10. My number 3 is 15. My number 2 is 7. And my number 1 is 5. If you're gonna pull that out of the video and make a separate video out of it, just give me credit, acknowledgement that it was mine originally. Thanks. Do you think that wait, I skipped one. Overall, do you think the new review format has gone over well? I think it highlights components better, which might appease some publishers. Well, I never thought of it that way. As a matter of fact, for my previews, now the couple of previews that I went up this week were films before I started the new format, because some of them have been lingering around in my queue for a couple of weeks. But even so, I might still continue to do previews the same way, because my thought was that publishers, or Kickstarter creators in particular, their publishers, would want to see a more thorough overview that does take more time. And my previews, because my final thoughts aren't really my final thoughts, they're just like a closing thoughts type deal, they're very quick. So I never worried about the time on my previews too much. Most of them fall within the 10 to 15 minute mark. But I don't know, I guess that's an interesting thought. Would they? I guess a good presentation is good no matter what. I'll have to think about it. It's so much work. Part of me was like, I hope they hate my new format, because it's a lot of work. And in fact, the way I'm going to do it is going to be potentially more work. But I think it's worth it. I do want my videos to look good. I can't afford special effects, or although some kind soul volunteered to do some animation. I haven't seen it yet. But I can't do a lot of fancy stuff, but I can try my best with what I have, and that's what I want to do. Do you think Thunderstone will ever be reprinted, as I'm desperate for a copy? I imagine it will be. I don't know. I don't have access to sales numbers. I couldn't really care less anyways. But I would think that it sold okay for AEG. What else does AEG have going on besides Love Letter and Smash Up? I guess maybe it wasn't selling that well. Maybe that's the problem. but it seemed more like they just wanted to focus on other things. I would imagine it would come back into play at some point. Hopefully they don't do a whole big re-release like they have already done with Advanced Thunderstone. I hope they just literally reprint what they already did. As a big fan of Eldritch Horror, do you have any advice? I have yet to win. I'm a somewhat experienced Arkham player and beat that multiple times. What gives? It could be anything. The problem with Eldritch Horror, I love that game to death, but the thing with Eldritch Horror is that it is random. It just is. And sometimes you're going to have really shit luck. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. Definitely take a look, and don't take my word for what is the most powerful and ancient old one, great old one. Go look online, see, and Board Game Geek, see what other people are saying. I'd actually be curious. Did someone... they did this for Chaos in the Old World. I know it's different, but in Chaos in the Old World, they put out someone did an ongoing poll that you can still vote in. That's just like, how many times have you won as this Chaos God? I wonder if someone has made a poll like that for Eldritch Horror, where it's like, how many times have you won with this as the great old one you guys fought against? Take a look at something like that. That would be very, very interesting, actually, to me. I might look that up afterwards to see if someone's done that. Because some things might actually be statistically easier, I would imagine. I've always found like City of the Ancient Things, if you have the expansions, City of the Ancient Things from the new set, the Aboth, the slime god, or the unclean one, are easier. You want stuff... Here's my advice if you really want to front load, like... easier difficulty. Pick ones that have high doom threshold, and take a look at their cultist effects. But also, it's always a sign if they have multiple special cards, the way that like Nephron Ka does, they're usually much more difficult. Also, general advice: even though you're supposed to be globetrotting around on your own, you need to be prepared to drop everything that you're doing and go and do something else. You even need to be prepared to drop whatever you were in the middle of. If you're in the middle of a battle with this really powerful creature and it's just taking turn after turn after turn, that might be turn after turn after turn that's better spent elsewhere. You have to be willing to cut your losses. Do you think Draconis from Kickstarter will be a replacement for Thunderstone Advance? I can't comment on something I did a preview for, but I will say in general, I think that they're pretty different. So, I don't know. I think they could coexist, in other words. Scrolling down through people confirming they can see me. Yes, for those of you up north, I feel for you. I hope that you are all okay up there in the blizzard. I do miss the snow a lot, but then again, I don't want to be stuck with no power either. Is it worth sticking with One Punch Man? Yes! I love it, and it does get better. And actually, I thought the first two episodes were really good, so if you didn't like the first two episodes, maybe it's not for you. Everything's not for everybody. But I thought that it got really good, especially when they started introducing more heroes. It gets interesting, for sure. It gets above its initial premise. Do you have an opinion on Blue Moon Legends? I used to own the original Blue Moon briefly before I even had a review channel, and I didn't care for it. I didn't like it very much. It's all right, though. It's not, like, terrible. Guys, I know a lot of you, it's you know, having a public persona and being on BGG, people can look at my collection all the time. Just because it seems like I have... I put a lot of games for trade I haven't even played yet. Because I imagine I'm not going to care for them very much. I might just have them for review, and I'm just like, well, I'll just leave it open. And I don't do a lot of trades because I've got a very, very, very select list of games I'm actually interested in yet. And they're mostly like Grail games for me. Hard to find Japanese games. Big box games I don't want to spend a lot of money on, so I'd trade people a whole bunch of stuff if they wanted to. But just because you see a game for trade doesn't mean that I immediately hate it. If I don't have a game rated, I don't rate every game that I play just because I don't keep up on it. But if I hate a game, I'll usually go and rate it. If I don't, then it means I probably haven't even played it yet. I don't keep track of my plays either. I used to, but I don't anymore. Any chance to do more tabletop RPG streams? I found the End of the World live streams interesting. I'd like to. It's just too hard to get people together for it now. A lot of the friends that I had that would be willing to play an RPG moved away. So, sad face. Are you excited about Star Wars Rebellion? Yes, it looks very, very interesting. What do you think about doing playthrough videos? Is it something for you? Not something for me, unfortunately. Sorry. I played my first game of Above and Below and realized after the game ending that I lost based on one wrong decision. What has been your worst case of post-game I should have done that moment? Yeah, I've had multiple things like that. The one in most recent history I can think of is Shakespeare, where I don't know that I made like a blatantly awful decision, but Shakespeare is usually such a tight game that afterwards I thought about it, and I'm like, you know, if I had taken this action instead of this, I might have ended up with 1 point more, which literally would have been enough to either give me the game, I think, at that point, or put me from like 3rd to 2nd place. So I've had moments like that for sure. Well, if I think of anything else like really notable, no, not really. I'm sure I've had moments like that before, especially like in the Resistance and Trader games like that. I heard you were doing a preview for Nova Atis. When can we expect to see the preview video? That's going to be a very tight schedule. They are rushing to get me a prototype copy that is not going to show up until during the week next week. Their Kickstarter ends like next Friday. It's just a very tight scheduling thing. They want me to do it. They want me to bring it even more attention to the game if possible. I'm going to do my absolute best to get that out. I can't promise you what day next week. It will just be as soon as I possibly can. I never recognize you on BGG anymore with your Hannibal avatar. Well, I literally just changed that last night in the middle of the night, so it hasn't been that long. What? I'm not okay. I think you're making you're obviously trying to make some sort of statement, but I don't even understand your question that much. Is there a direct connection between constant excuses and supporting Bernie Sanders? I feel like I'm maybe just stupid. I'm not seeing what you're going for there, but by all means, come at it from a different angle. With that muscle pull, does laughing hurt? I don't know. I haven't really laughed in the last hour, like, heavily. No, I don't know. How did you get into the board gaming hobby? Well, I always played board games in some version of another since I was a kid. But in a hardcore way, I mean, it has to be Magic. Magic was like the influence of everything. And from Magic, when I got together with a few exes ago now, girlfriend, she was still into Magic, so I started playing that again. And that led to me getting interested in games like Ascension and Dominion. And she had been playing Euro games with some of her hippie friends, so I played some of those with her. And then when I broke up with her and had a lot of free time on my hands all of a sudden, that's when I really got hardcore into board gaming. When was the last time you played Monopoly and Uno? Monopoly was maybe 2 years ago. Did I actually end up reviewing it? I think I did. I reviewed Adventure Time Monopoly because I was like, well, I should do a review of Monopoly. Why not do Adventure Time Monopoly? And with the proper rules, it was bearable. Uno, I probably played the online version a few years ago too, and it's okay. I don't have a problem with Uno so much. It can be fun when you play with the rules where you can, if someone hits you with a draw 2, you can play a draw 2 as well, which makes the next person draw 4. Same thing with the wild draw 4s. Or when you play with the rule that when someone can't play a card on their turn and they have to draw a card from the deck, they keep drawing cards until they can play a card from the deck. That can be very funny in a very schadenfreude kind of way. Do you like any niche Japanese video games? So no Final Fantasy, Mario Bros, etc. as their mainstream. Well, I don't even know what that line is, unfortunately. But I will tell you one of my favorite RPG series, possibly as a whole even more than, well, no. Final Fantasy as a whole is still probably my favorite, but Suikoden or Suikoden, which is another RPG series, much more Japanesey than the others, is very, very good. Breath of Fire. Again, I don't know what the line is, but if you're a video game fan, you know what these are, so they're not obscure by any means, but they're really not mainstream. What else as far as like series go? I don't know. That's probably Disgaea. I like Disgaea a lot. Do you use dice trays or dice towers? No, it's just too much trouble. I don't really see the point in them for myself. I even have that really nice Wormwood dice tower that they sent me, which is amazing, but I don't ever set it up and use it. I have seen some great board games become unpopular because the first person to review it has given it a bad review, even if subsequent people have liked it. Do you think the hunt for scoops hurts the hobby? Well, a person's opinion is a person's opinion, and I will sometimes rush to scoop someone, but it's not because like this game is terrible, I have to be the first one to say it. It's wherever it is. It's whether it's good or bad. It's just it is what it is. I mean, look, what you're really saying is that it's very prominent people in the industry, who it's not necessarily me, who might really hurt a game. If your influence is incredibly powerful, if you're talking about like Vassal or Shut Up and Sit Down or I don't know, other big, or like Angry Joe just reviewed Star Wars Rebellion. If you're talking about people who have a humongous reach, then yeah, but again, I think that's kind of the breaks, right? Like if Roger Ebert gave your movie a really bad review, what can you do? It just is what it is. I don't think that people are letting the need to scoop something influence their decision. You could make an argument that, well, if you're rushing to scoop something, maybe you haven't played it enough times, but I don't know. I can't speak for everyone else. I know I've gotten rules wrong, and I know that I've had some slight changes of opinion on games, but I've never... I play games anywhere from, like, I don't know, it depends on the game, the length of the game, 2 to 5 times before I review it, which might seem like not that much to people, but I usually know after the first time I play a game whether I like it or not. Subsequent plays are just like hammering out any inconsistencies. I have questions. Why does this work this way? I feel like I'm not getting this. So whether I scoop someone or not, I'm pretty confident in my opinion, and if it's bad opinion, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but I don't think it's wrong. Like, you can't just say, oh man, I don't want to hurt this guy's game, I'm going to have to hold back on this until more reviews come in. That just seems silly. Do you play Neko Atsume? I don't even know what that is. Neko is something with cats. Is this going to be some porn? If it's porn... Hold on a second. Okay, that ain't porn. A cat collecting game? No, but if there's one for dogs, I might just turn off the Q&A feed and go play it right now. You should try Darkest Dungeon on Steam if I get the time. There's the problem. But thank you, I will keep that in mind. Hey, recommend me an anime, by the way. I know it's opening up the floodgates, but I'm ready to watch another anime. I'm trying to watch anime, real show. I just finished Mr. Robot, which is amazing. Hey, Nick, will you be reviewing Catacombs soon? I've had it sitting on my shelf for a very long time. I just haven't had time to get to it. You said Lewis and Clark, when you reviewed it, wasn't a part of your collection due to AP analysis paralysis. How do you feel about the game now, considering you've had a few playthroughs? Well, I played it, like, only once more, I think, after that review. Yeah, and it didn't change my opinion of it. It's fine. The game is fine. I don't want to bash it too much. And that's, in my review, I think I remember it being very ambivalent because of that. Because I think it's a well-designed game. I hated the downtime. Not downtime, but yeah, the AP, just like people just sitting there, just there's almost information overload, and it just comes down to card efficiency. It felt very dry, even though it was supposed to be very thematic, which I kind of sort of felt racing down the river. It still felt very dry to me because of that, and it just felt like there was too much going on, and the deck building was kind of light. So to me, even though they're very different, they're thematically the same. Discoveries just blows it away. Oh, okay. I couldn't think of every single thing, Nathaniel. I'm curious to know why you did not point to better printing quality as a factor in board gaming's new popularity. Sure, that's definitely a reason. It's a very superficial reason, but yeah, the idea of the miniatures and things have definitely led to success, and Kickstarter has been a big part of that too. Hey Nick, is there any chance you will review Legacy: The Testament of Duke de Crecy? Yes. I will be reviewing that hopefully within the next week with the expansion. What's the best, most direct way for loyal board game brawlers to support your channel? Well, there's lots of ways to support Patricio, for real. I mean, just doing this is supporting me. Watching my videos, sharing my videos, liking them, just saying stuff in the comments that's either, just, hey, did a good job, or just giving, even better, is giving me feedback as to what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see in the future, games you'd like to see in the future, things you'd like me to focus on. Fantastic way to support the channel, because I like taking direction from the fans. I'm ultimately going to do what I want to do, but getting direction and feedback from you is the best way. If you want something a little more concrete than that, I have a Patreon page. You can go to patreon.com/boardgamebrawl, and you can pledge there at whatever pledge level you're comfortable with. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I like the amount of likes that I have on Facebook. It's great. I get a lot of good feedback from people there, and people like my posts. So lots of ways to support, however you feel comfortable. I never want to coerce people into doing it. There's also, I don't know about this. This is one I'm the most ambivalent about. There's BoardGameLinks.com. I'm not bashing that site by any means. I think it's very interesting. It's a neat idea, but it's of the old trope of saying something is a popularity contest. It is straight up a popularity contest. It is voting for sites to get them higher and competing with each other. And every year they reset the rankings. And so every year it's like everyone's scrambling to their social media to say, everybody come and like me. And I'm guilty of that too, of hearting, asking people to heart me. So if you want to do that, that's fun. That's fine. I think I'm within the top 10. Let's take a look where we're at right now. I'm curious. It's underneath the websites, by the way. Shut Up and Sit Down is number 1. That's not a surprise. Watch It Played, Board Game Geek, The Dice Tower, Rado, Board Game Giveaway, because people give shit away. Tabletop Geek and Sundry, and Board Game Brawl is right below Tabletop, and I am 28 above Pair of Dice Paradise. That's a pretty good spot, being in the top 10. So yeah, supporting me there, giving us more of a healthy lead would be great, I would say. Let's see. Alright, sorry, I got distracted looking at the sidebar here. So yeah, those are ways to support the site. About to make lunch, peanut butter and jelly, ham and cheese, or BLT. Peanut butter and jelly, man! It's awesome! Hey Nick, for two newbies getting into gaming, Pathfinder card game or Warhammer Quest? Warhammer Quest, the card game, felt like a more accessible game to me. Pathfinder adventure card game, mechanically, I guess, is as simple. Well, no, the setup is more, there's more in depth to it. I think they're both good, but I think Warhammer Quest is more accessible. If you could travel in time and had 10 seconds to tell something to 8th grade Nick, what would it be? Oh my gosh, 10 seconds. I can't say my answer, sorry. Are you a cook or an eat-out guy? Eat-out guy, obviously. Well, no, it's just, well, that wouldn't be obvious to anyone, but yes, definitely. Hey Nick, I just wanted to ask if you know any other way to get Kingdom Death Monster other than through Poots, his official Kingdom Death Monster website. I'm really trying very hard to raise enough money, but $400 is seriously a bitch. I know, Angela, and I'm very sorry about that. I feel I love Kingdom Death. I'm not going to apologize for loving the game and for being an evangelist for it, but I do feel bad that it's so much. And I mean, look, the amount of money that people have to spend for it now just to get the core game is like what I spent on the Kickstarter, but for getting like everything, like all of the expansions and everything. So the Kickstarter backers got such an amazing deal compared to what it is now. And I feel badly about that part of me. I feel guilty in a sense, which I know I shouldn't, because what does it matter? But there really isn't like another official way. You can go on eBay, you can go on Board Game Geek. People might be selling them in the marketplace there. And sometimes I have seen core sets for less than 400, but I mean, even then with shipping, you're probably still going to pay close to that. I'm sorry. Legacy is possibly better as a solo game. Well, lately I've been playing games with people, and then if they've had solo variants, I've been trying them solo as well. So, and sometimes I do it beforehand just to learn a game. So I'm glad to hear that. At Angela, just buy Shadows of Brimstone. They're not that comparable, but Shadows of Brimstone is good too. But it's also expensive. Not that expensive. If you didn't have a wall of board games occupying the space behind there, what would you use the space for? I'd probably still have a couple of shelves up, but they'd be like DVDs and video games. And I don't know. I used to just have a lot of empty space in my apartment. I might have just have a lot more art, I think. Nick, what is your next funding goal for Patreon? Well, I still need to get art. I have to say, even now that I have the funds, and thank you everyone for that, it's so hard to get someone to do artwork for me. You would think like there's tons of starving artists out there, but they're all like, I'm not accepting commissions right now. I'm like, well, come on already. So it's really getting frustrating for me for that. But I do want to get better equipment. I wish I had the money for a legit camera. Now, I don't want to badmouth my camera. My camera was a donation for me from a fan, and I think you could all agree that from the time that I got that camera to my old like webcam I was using is night and day. But I'm talking about getting a camera like the ones you see like professional videographers shoot, like the ones they use on like either Best in the Worst and Half in the Bag on Red Letter Media, or that the PBS Idea channel uses. Really professional looking. Sorry, gross. I have a very serious suggestion. Could you do a top 10 t-shirt sites, because I always adore your outfits? There's not 10 though, unfortunately, but I will tell you again, I don't mind. T-Fury, T-E-E-F-U-R-Y, just Google these. T-Fury, Ripped Apparel, R-I-P-T, QWERTY, Q-W-E-R-T-E-E, T-Turtle, Woot.shirt, and Shirt Punch are the ones that I frequent. What are your thoughts on Star Wars Rebellion? I don't know too much about it, but it looks really good. I'm very excited for it. Would you consider doing a playthrough of a purely dexterity game on the Brawl? Asking for a friend. I love when people do that. I would. I just don't do a lot of playthroughs right now, so unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it seems like Flick 'em Up or what? I don't know. There's not a lot of other dexterity games I like, though. That's part of the problem. If you got sucked into a board gaming world and had to beat it to escape, which game would you want it to be? Beat it to escape. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, that's when a Trading in the Mediterranean game would come in handy. Sorry, guys. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze, and then I didn't sneeze, and then I was like, alright. By the way, have you ever played Dominaire? It's on my extended collection, but I haven't played it yet. Eventually I will. My wife loves Run, Fight, or Die, so I like to elevate her to try harder games. Zombicide or Dead of Winter is a good starting point. Well, Dead of Winter is the more complicated of those three. Yeah, Dead of Winter I think would be a good one to go to. Nick, you are totally wrong on number 5 being the number 1 number. You are clearly just pandering to your audience in order to get more views. Hashtag bullcrap. Well, of course. Have you ever played Friday the solo game? Yes, I own it. It's one of the first games I ever got. Actually, I enjoy it a lot. What's the worst physical pain you've ever been in? I had kidney stones once. I don't recommend it. It feels like at first, even though it seems unrelated, because it's all piping and stuff like that, my first symptom was stabbing pain. It felt like someone was stabbing me in the back, and I couldn't even lay down. It hurt to lay down, but it hurt to stand. What board game do you think would make a great Jumanji-style movie? Super Dungeon Explorer. That'd be kind of cool, right? All the little chibi things, adventures coming to life, and monsters and stuff like that. Are you going to do your own gaming marathon? No. Will you do a top 10 worst games of 2015? No. My bad reviews, I think, are bad enough. I don't need to like spotlight all the worst games. What did you think of the new Suicide Squad trailer? I don't think I've watched the whole trailer, but I've seen like photos, and I'm excited for it. I'm curious to see what it's like. Could be a disaster, by the way. If you were starting a new board game channel, what would be the one thing you should invest your money in? Better camera, better microphone, or boob job? Well, if you're female, boob job. No, do not do that. I think those are always a bad idea. Better camera, better microphone, microphone. I know that sounds maybe sacrilegious, but microphone, microphone, microphone. I hate the way people sound. I know I don't sound the best, but I think I sound okay. Look, this little thing here is like, last time I checked, it was like $50 at Amazon, and or maybe it's even less. I think it sounds really good. I use it for everything. It's very cheap and reliable. If you do it for videos, like this is just simple because it goes straight into my feed, right? If you do it for videos, because I have to sync up an audio track with my videos, which is a big pain in the butt, but it's better than the quality I had on my older videos. But I think it's totally worth it. And I hate the way podcast sounds when they have bad bad microphones. Catacombs 3rd Edition, love it, buy it, or hate it. I haven't played it yet. I have it, but I haven't played it yet. What do you do for a living? I work in a printing and marketing company in South Florida. What podcasts do you listen to? Right now, the only ones I listen to with any kind of regularity are the Cracked podcast, How Did This Get Made? That's it. Honestly. That is it for right now. Do you play Eldritch Horror with all the expansions at once? Play Elder Sign. I haven't played Elder Sign. I have that. It's in board gaming purgatory. I play Eldritch Horror with almost all the expansions. The thing about Eldritch Horror is that so many of the things are just cards that you shuffle into the existing decks. The only things I don't play with all at the same time are like the 2 main expansions, the 2 big box expansions. I won't play with both of their boards at the same time because that's too much. But I'll play with only the Antarctica board or only the Egyptian board. One day I might do them all at the same time. But most of that stuff you can just integrate pretty easily. It's just shuffling cards into decks. Thank you very much, people who are supporting me on Patreon. I really appreciate it. I do. Favorite Feld game and favorite Uwe Rosenberg game. Favorite Feld game, I'm going to say Bruges. And for favorite Uwe Rosenberg game, I am not currently a fan of any of his games, but some of his games I haven't played, like Le Havre and Caverna. I imagine I'm going to be a Caverna fan. I hope you're feeling better since last week. Mentally, I'm feeling better. I'm just literally sick now. Any thoughts on the Proto Alien vs. Predator board game? I think they're doing that in conjunction with Ninja Star. No, it's too much money for me. I was thinking of buying it just because, hey, Aliens vs. Predator would be pretty good to review, but I think you have to assemble it too. So I just said, I don't know about that. have you considered doing a Kickstarter for your channel? I have, and I have always talked myself out of it. For starters, I feel like if you're going to do a Kickstarter, you need to have something of substance to give away, and I've never had anything. I know other people do it, and they have great success giving out promos. Joel Edey does it, and Rado's done it, and Rado's had, I think his wife does jewelry, and so they were offering that as well. I don't have anything like that. I don't have any outlets for that, and I've tried to get my boss to sit down with me to talk about, because one of the things that we do among many other things at my company is promotional products and apparel. I'm like, well, we make t-shirts and hats, and I'm like, you know what? That's also going to be a tremendous amount of work. I've decided that for now, Patreon is the way to go. I mean, look, I get you guys with ads for the channel. If you want to help me, you can turn off ad block if you have that. I ask you guys to sit through ads. I ask you guys to support me on Patreon. I ask you guys to support the preview videos that I do, which are paid for by the companies as advertising. I don't know. How much more do I need to hit you guys up for money? I would like to do this for a living eventually, but for now it's a very good supplement to my income and enables me to keep doing what I do, which is playing games and having fun with them. And I don't know, I don't feel like I need to be asking you guys for money every 5 minutes. And a Kickstarter, I don't know. I'm not ever going to say never. If I felt like people wanted to get together with me to do promos and things, I would probably do it. But then again, part of the reason why the channel has been successful is like not making a big spectacle out of it. I try not to anyways. And doing a Kickstarter brings a ton of attention to me and the channel, and there's certainly a cadre of people who would come out of the woodwork and start bashing me, and it's just like, just forget it. But I understand. A lot of people ask me if I'm going to do a Kickstarter, and I can just say that I don't know for now. I would love to watch you solo play Kingdom Death Monster. Any chance of that happening? I have considered that. I have considered doing solo plays that are edited, because I think that'd be better. So, because when I play a solo game, I'm often watching TV, and I'm often running to go take my dog outside and all this stuff. Because especially Kingdom Death Monster is a long time. So doing a heavily edited video, just showing people from play to play, I think could be very interesting. But it is a lot of work. Maybe I'll do it. I'm restarting my campaign again because I just had a total party kill, and it was soon enough that I'm like, I'm starting over. So maybe I'll do it. I am primarily a solo board and card gamer. I've noticed an increase of solo games being offered as an option. Do you think this trend will continue into 2016? Yeah. I think that more and more like purely competitive multiplayer games are even offering solo modes. I think that there's not going to be a ton of solo-only games, but I think you'll see the trend continue because people just don't have time. I think it's. If you look at like Board Game Geek, people constantly lament in the forums and the message boards that they can't have the willingness is there, the collection is there, but they literally don't have the time to get a gaming group together. They don't have enough people around them who are willing to play at certain times, and so solo gaming is a way to go. What game is on your shelf above Super Dungeon Explorer? The Mouth and Tongue. Need to know. Does someone else want to answer out there in the audience? The number one most asked question. Favorite quick filler game, and what is your favorite quick two-player game? Favorite quick filler game, Pairs is just so dumb and fast, I think. Favorite quick two-player game is I don't know. Seven Wonders Duel is pretty good. It's pretty quick. When will you get to play StarCraft when the moon turns red and the seas filleth with blood and the sky and earth split open? It's never going to happen. Do you have white guilt? I don't know. I am very very aware and conscious of the humongous race divides in this country, and I'm a progressive liberal. I believe in things like affirmative action. I believe in things like the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that. Does that mean that I have white guilt? I do feel as if, of just by very nature of my race, color of my skin, where I was born, and who I had around me, that I had much more privilege and opportunity, potential, than so many other minorities in the country do. I squandered all of that. My life is significantly more miserable because of the choices that I made, and I definitely did not make the most of my privilege, which in that way I guess I feel guilty. But I don't sit around in a haze of guilt. Rather, I feel like I don't let me put it this way. I don't think that white people need to feel guilty in order for them to know that the way that minorities are treated in this country is wrong and bad and needs to change. I don't think guilt should come into play. I think empathy and common sense and rationality should lead you to that conclusion. So I feel guilt for my own life and what I've done to it. I don't feel guilt that I took advantage of the things that I have, but at the same time, that is not the same as saying, hey, I recognize that I have these things, and everyone should have advantages and potential and not be stunted in their growth as a human being because of the color of their skin, because of their nationality, because of how they speak, where they were born. But I think that's a common human issue. I don't think that you need to feel guilt over that. I think you need to feel a desire to help and to be empathetic and to want things to change. That's a super convoluted answer, but I hope it got to the point of what you were getting at, if anything. Any chance of a top 10 games to play solo? Yes, there will be. It's coming soon. I don't know. I keep hesitating on it because I know there's like one game in particular, Dawn of the Zeds, that's coming in soon. But then I'm like, why should I wait? I could just do another edition in the future, right? Maybe. You might see that sooner rather than later. You might see that within the next month. Hey, I just became a Patreon backer today. Thank you very much. I had to start small since I am a criminal and on the lam. I hope that's true. I hope you're not making a joke. Don't tease me that way. But I wanted to help you out. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Would you be intrigued by the theme Major League Food Eating? It could be done very well, but that seems like one of the kooky themes that like Kickstarter creators lately, like from Dice Hate Me Games, have been trying to do. So probably not. It probably wouldn't make for that great of a game, but it's an interesting theme. It's also like, I always thought that like those food eating contests were like really shoving it in the face that we are a country of excess. Like really just leaning into that curve. I skipped a question. How old are you? I am 35 as of this past Wednesday. Wednesday was my birthday. I am 35. Dang it. When you get down to a certain point on YouTube, YouTube just skips. Yeah, we're over 100 viewers. That's pretty amazing. I don't know that we've ever hit over 100 before. Probably for like the live playthroughs we have, like the Extra Life, but that's awesome. Thank you very much, guys. I'm happy to see you all here, and I hope you're having a good time. Let me see here. Yeah, unfortunately, YouTube is very bad about letting me go through comments easily. With solo games getting better and more varied, are significant others just a waste of time? Obviously. I mean, if you really think about it, other humans are really gross and smelly, especially girls. Oh. Oh, wow. But that's great. I love that. I love that question. It is true that like there's always there was just I was just talking to a girl on Twitter the other day who was saying like my boyfriend can't stand board games. What do I do? I'm like, you drop that motherfucker. No, just kidding. Nick has a huge federal agent following. Not I, of course. Well, you are right, but that's unrelated to other people. Is Star Realms a good introductory deck builder? Yeah, it actually really is. Star Realms or games that are close to it that are very simple to set up, that have the randomized row of buy cards, just an easy entry point. DC Comics deck building game or any of the other Cryptozoic deck builders. Ascension. Yeah. Sword Art Online, I've been recommended that. I might get to that eventually. No Game, No Life. I have that downloaded. Yes, I got to watch that. Tokyo Ghoul. I've heard Dead Man Wonderland is good. Are you interested in any of the new games coming in the Legendary system like Big Trouble in Little China or Firefly? I am interested. I don't like Firefly. I don't hate it, but I'm not a fan at all. With the science fiction theme, that's a good idea. Big Trouble in Little China, I love. I don't know how you're going to make an expansion set out of it. I'm hoping it's just a very small set because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Are you sticking to your new style of overview? You mentioned it was more work. Would that mean a slowdown in content? I think the number of reviews would stay the same no matter what, but it is more difficult. But yeah, I'm going to do it. I think it's a good idea, and I think at some point it's better to sacrifice time and quantity for quality. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Nick, any underrepresented games and game themes you wish there were more represented in new games lately? Well, it's interesting because I played this game here, Healthy Heart Hospital, and I realized that there's not a lot of hospital games out there, so that's a good theme. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. I don't feel like there's enough dungeon crawlers. That's actually a complete and utter lie. There's too many. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think things like going to the mall or something that's very interesting, potentially theme. Have you got tired of Star Wars as a game theme? I'm a little tired of it, but that's only because I'm not a humongous Star Wars fan. But I would like to see new content now based off the new movies. That seems like an obvious thing, right? Aside from the mass market games. If we were to go on a romantic getaway vacation, where would you take me? Well, Jonathan, Ireland or Scotland. I'm just thinking of places I'd like to go now. Might as well make it all about me, right? Do you think there's a reason for the higher number of people watching today? I think that ever since certain things happened earlier in the month, people are looking for me to say something outrageous, which is a bit unfortunate. I like my Q&As because I like interacting with the fans, and I like talking about topics of particular interest to me. And some people are here for quote unquote wrong reasons, but to hear me say something stupid and outrageous, but to me, saying something that's truthful is not outrageous, but there you go. Nick, do you get burned out on board gaming? No, I still love it. I get maybe burned out on playing with people sometimes, and sometimes that's why it's nice to just sit back and play solo games. But did you try the Five Tribes solo version? No, but it's an official thing that Days of the Wonder put out. I heard about that, and I'm curious about it. Maybe I will at some point. In fact, before I ever do a list, maybe I'll give it a shot. Do you still have Discoveries in your collection? I do. Where is that? Can you see that from camera? No, it's somewhere. It's a small box, so it's kind of hiding somewhere. Smaller. But I love it. It's a great game. Other people in my group have really enjoyed it too. With your years of connection forming within the board gaming community, how come we haven't seen a flood of Beagle-related promo cards? Well, remember that a much more prominent reviewer than myself, Rado, also has Beagles. In fact, one's in his avatar on BGG. I would think that if there were, that would be the reason. But I'll take the blame for it if that happens. Yes, I know. I love very professional-looking channels. As I wipe my nose from my cold. I'm sorry. Okay? Is there a designer who is lauded and that you are hard-pressed to understand why? Yes, but I'm honestly trying not to court controversy right now. I will say this in general, though. There are some people who are purely hype machines. They due to branding, advertising, Kickstarter, very incredibly cheap games, they have become these superstars of gaming when they are incredibly mediocre. How do you find people to join your gaming group? I have a meetup group, meetup.com, and people just sort of find their way in. How many hours a day do you dedicate to your board games and creating your reviews? Pretty much any hour I'm not working, I'm doing something board gaming related. Even if I'm like watching TV, I'm doing something board gaming related at the same time. In fact, when I'm done here, I might take a nap, but I might watch something else on TV while I'm sorting out some new games. Is there anything you'd love to talk about but don't because no one asked you a question about it? That's a very good question, actually. No, I think everyone pretty much. I could go on and on and on about like anime and video games and things like that in general, and politics and celebrity, but I don't feel the need to be asked about it. Any thoughts on Corey Kaniska? He's very interesting. Corey Kaniska is like, how would you say this? Like the house designer for Fantasy Flight Games, and he's had a hand in like every one of their major original releases. I mean, he was Battlestar Galactica, and I think he was involved in Descent, and I don't know if he had anything to do with any of their LCGs, but Mansions of Madness, and the guy is, and some of the Star Wars games too, right? Yeah, the guy is prolific, and obviously, I don't know what his official title is there. He might just be like the head of development, which means like a new game comes in, he works with other designers, and he puts the finishing touches on it, things like that. That's got to be respected, right? I think it's pretty impressive, personally. And I don't know the guy personally. I've never interacted with the guy at all, even online, but I love Fantasy Flight Games and a lot of their games, and it seems like he's had a major part of that. Is it snowing where you are right now? No, but I will say that we did have colder weather for the first time this week. Like, when I say colder, I mean like in the 50s, which everyone else is like, oh, you mean like the kind of weather we up north would go around in shorts in? Yeah, right. But we did have incredibly bad wind this morning. It was really weird. Like, I don't know, maybe at some point you could have heard it on camera. The wind whistling through the trees was really loud. I think it's we're getting the tail end of whatever cold front is going up north right now. Guys, I have to end it in a few minutes. I'm really sorry. Are you religious? Do you drink booze? I am not religious. I am an atheist, and I do drink booze. I always sound depressed. That's just my nature. Don't worry about it. If you had a Kickstarter where we can take you out for dinner, I would back it. If you had a Kickstarter where we can bring you to Essen and let us follow you like a bunch of cute, wide-eyed puppies, I'd back it. I will say that would be the reason I would do a Kickstarter, was to be like, fund me going to Europe or something. But that seems kind of callous and shallow too, right? But thank you very much, Angela. You're sweet. Thank you for the belated birthday wishes. I didn't mean to bring that up to like fish for birthday wishes, but thank you. I wish I could get email alerts just for your live Q&As. Is there a way to do that? Well, if you subscribe to the channel, I think that they keep you abreast of those types of things. Breast. But, yeah, there's some way to do that. You'll get some sort of notification. I always, Facebook. Follow Facebook. Facebook, I always post when I create the live Q&A, and then I try to remind people within like an hour of when it actually airs. What cons do you attend? None, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I wonder if the regular time and day has helped boost the live chat numbers. I know I really appreciate the regular time. That might be something. That's part of the reason why I've tried to keep it consistent. Hey, Nick, do you know a game called London Dread? I do not, but I'll look it up afterwards. That sounds interesting. What if anything, would you change about your major life decisions? Any major regrets? Tons and tons and tons of stuff. Some of which I'm not going to get into. Some of which is like, I wish I had stayed with this girl or this other girl. And some girls I wish I had never, ever met, ever. For sure. And it's not always about relationships. Sometimes I just wish I'd been better to people, or a lot of things I would change. I have a life full of regrets. Let's see. Yeah, I think Scotland would be pretty interesting. I like to go to a lot of places in overseas. Will you ever review Catan or Seven Wonders? Probably. Or review 100 Swords when it comes out. I'll have to see what that game is. Alright, guys. I'm sorry. I have got to go. But thank you very much for sticking with me. I love my Q&As. I love getting support from you guys. I love, and thank you so much for all of that. And I love just interacting with all of you guys and girls. It's a lot of fun for me. Still love my Q&As, even though people are waiting for me to say something controversial. But for those of you who are the hardcore fans, you know, it's just a time for us to have fun. So thank you very much. Lots of reviews coming up soon, and take care.